Welcome to another episode of Booktubers in Cars, doing tag videos. Hit it! Hey, what's up, Booktube? It's your boy Scott coming at ya. Woo. I'm here to do the 80's mixtape tag. This tag was created by Amy at Amy Gets Lit, and I thought it was really cool, and I thought I would give it a shot. I'm not a huge 80's music person because it's so much cheese and so much over-the-top stuff that I don't really like 80's music. But I grew up in the 80's, but I'm more of a 90's angsty grunge kind of guy. Could you tell? I know, right? So, number 1, You Spin Me Round Like a Record. Name a book that left you feeling confused. I had a couple answers for this. Number 1 was Born by Jeff Vandermeer, which is quite a confusing world. If you had read Annihilation by him, you know that, some of the things aren't normal. Things aren't typical, and Born plays upon that to the max, where there's this creature, there's a giant city-destroying bear, and there's just these things in the environment in the world that Jeff Vandermeer builds that is very out of the ordinary, and it takes you a couple times to kind of get the grasp. And I read that book through to the end, but most of the time I was having, those brain fluctuations of I don't know what this should be, and I just put in like a placeholder in my mind of like, he's talking about something and then this is X. But it was very, I really felt confused for most of the part. But I mean, the plot was steady enough to follow, but everything surrounding it is just like another planet. Another one I had for that was also The Library at Mount Char. I had this on audiobook, which is, I wouldn't recommend going into it on audio because the first few chapters you really kind of have to flip back a few pages for review, and figure out what the frick is going on. So that book was also one. It was a great book, but I mean the concepts in there were very WTF, and I was confused plenty of times during that. Library at Mount Char by Scott Hawkins, I believe. Number 2, Don't Stop Believin', a book that you found inspiring. For this one, I chose The Humans by Matt Haig. And The Humans is about an alien race that inhabits a professor who is about to make a breakthrough discovery in human technology and mathematics that could change the course of our developments in technology. So this alien race is sent to Earth to inhabit this professor to stop him from revealing that information. And this alien, meanwhile, is learning about what it is to be human. And there's, towards the end of the book, there's a piece that's called Advice for a Human. And those things were just very inspiring. The way that Matt Haig writes is it very much explores the human element of things, and that book I thought was the apex of his writing thus far. Number 3, Karma Chameleon, a book featuring an unreliable narrator. For this one, I chose Darrow from the Red Rising trilogy, because, no spoilers, he's sent, obviously, to overthrow the powers that be, but he needs to be deceitful in his ways and act like something that he is not, to obviously work his way up through the ranks to topple this world. So that was my choice for that. Number 4, Eye of the Tiger, a book about overcoming the odds. I had a couple for this. Kings of the Wild by Nicholas Eames. And another kind of post-apocalyptic thriller book called The Last One by Alexandra Oliva. By Alexandra Oliva. And the last one is about these contestants who go on a reality show and are sent to a remote island cut off from civilization. They're told that, this is going to last for an indefinite amount of time. The last one to not give up wins. And so they're sent out to the island. They're on the show, but all the cameras are hidden. The cameramen are in the woods, and there's secret cameras hidden in different locales. And while the main character of the story goes through this, unbeknownst to her, the outside world is succumbed to a plague that destroys and kills most of humanity. She comes across this in her travels through this secluded environment. However, she assumes that it's part of her reality show. And she comes across these horrific types of things, and she tells herself that it's all part of the show, that they're testing her to her limits. However, it is real, and people really are dead and dying. But she continues and carries on. And so that was a very interesting kind of book about sort of overcoming the odds that were not technically... There were scenes in the book where you thought it would be over, but she prevails through. Never Give You Up. Number 5, a book with a loyal protagonist. And this one I chose Thomas Senlin from Senlin Descends. He is loyal to find his great love, Maria. In the first book, at least, where him and his wife are on their honeymoon, they get separated. He then has to navigate his way through the Tower of Babel to find her. And it's quite a harrowing experience for him. Number 6, Girl, You Know It's True, a nonfiction book or memoir that turned out to not be true. And this one I do not know. There were a couple selections of nonfiction books that I've read and memoirs. There's one that I had selected called Life on Planet Rock by Lon Fren, which is his story about his experiences with all these major rock stars, Aerosmith and Guns N' Roses, and being on the road with them, and his different exploits with these huge rock and roll type people. I don't know if it's true or not. He could just be making it all up. Number 7, Wake Me Up, a book that makes you feel good because it's upbeat. And this one I didn't have a good selection for. I chose The Rosie Project by Graham Simpson, because The Rosie Project is a cute kind of love story about a man who falls for a girl, but he has no social skills. I think he is a bit autistic in his ways, and he doesn't know how to communicate, and he relies on the help of his friends and things in order to kind of get the girl. And it was kind of a cute story. Cutesy. Number 8, Every Day I Write the Book, a book or autobiography about an author. I had Zombie Spaceship Wasteland by Patton Oswalt. There was also one I read called Nothing Sacred by Lewis Black. And another one I read which was called Scrappy Little Nobody by my girl Anna Kendrick. Number 9, Talk Dirty to Me, a book with naughty bits. That I don't know. There's probably some in some of the books that I've read. I didn't think of it as nothing that had really stood out to me that was like that. Don't know. I'll take a pass on that one. Number 10, Purple Rain, a book about the end of the world. I chose 1 Second After by William Forstchen. That is a book about what would happen if the EMP hits and technology is gone. No phones, no cars, no TVs, no radios. How do people live after that? What happens? And that kind of tells a story in kind of a lo-fi way. It's not meant to be futuristic. It's meant to be real world, like what happened right now. If something happened that destroyed all technology, computers, and things like that, how would we live? Disease, famine, food. How would civilization carry on? And this book explores that. The other one I had selected was The Dog Stars by Peter Heller, which is a great post-apocalyptic book where a virus kind of wipes out humanity, and there's a man and his friend and his dog and a plane, a small plane that he uses to kind of fly around his piece of, I think it was Colorado, and just kind of survive, watch out for the raiders or the bad guys. And that was the prose in that one is very well done. I would suggest that on audio, because in the text, the hardcover book, there are no quotation marks, and there's no indication of who is speaking at any given point. Any of the dialogue is just line, next line, next line. So you kind of have to put it together in your head who's saying what. And on audio, it's kind of the narrator uses a little bit of different inflections in his voice to communicate between the two, so it's easier to follow than the written form. All right, that's my 80s mixtape book tag. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll tag some more people in the description. Thanks, Amy, for creating the tag, and I will see you later. Peace.